Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. We've got a pretty cool build today. We're going to do a memorial car for a gentleman by the name of Dean Tindall. His friends and family know him as Deano. Well, Dean was a real special guy, and his family and his friends miss him very, very much. Well, I was approached by some of his family members and say, can you please make a car in memory of our father? And I says, well, I'd be honored to. That would be fantastic. Now, I had done a car for the family before. This is the second one that I have done. I did not make a video of the first one, but I wasn't going to pass up the opportunity to do another one. So here we've got this 66 Nova, and we're going to go ahead and drill it apart. Using a 1/16 inch drill bit, we're going to take the car apart. Now I hollow out the center of the rivet, or the post there, and what that does is it gives me a little bit more depth, so when I drill out the post, it releases a lot sooner, and it doesn't go as deep as if I just use the big bit here, the 9/64 bit. So we're going to take our time here, and we're going to drill out the post with the 9/64 bit and go real slow here, and here's where you're going to get that ring. And when you drill initially with a 1/16 inch bit, this allows that ring to release a lot sooner. And it's just my past experience. Some guys don't do this. I like to, because I found out that it works better for me. And hey, give it a try. It may work better for you. So now we got to get the car apart. We're intending on doing a wheel swap here because of the plastic wheels. I want to put some real riders on here. And again, I want to make this car look really good. Just take your time so you don't snap anything or break anything. And again, I'm not going to be using these wheels or the axles or anything. So taking this apart, if I happen to bend the wheels a little bit, not too big of a deal. Interior looks good. We got to clean that up. We're going to have to redo the base with a Molotow chrome pen just to bring that back to where it needs to be. Let's go ahead and flatten the post. When you flatten the post here with a file, it allows you to reconnect the base back with the car body, but it doesn't have the flanges on the end of the post from where you drilled it, so it's going to fit a lot cleaner. So we'll file them first, and then we'll drill out the post so we can put in the screws. And again, we're going to use the 1/16 inch bit, and we're going to tap in with the 1-72 screws. Here's my little container to put the parts in so I don't lose them. This is a really good practice for you. I find that I find the parts a lot easier if I know exactly where they are. Now it's time to put the car in the citrus strip. I'll dip it in the citrus strip, and then we'll put it on the tray and let it sit until the paint bubbles off. This citrus strip here is getting a little bit used up, so I think this is the last time we'll use this one. And we'll get a new container, and we'll get some new citrus strip in there, and it'll work out pretty cool. Got the entire body coated. Let's let that drip off so the excess goes back into the container. And then we'll put that on the tray, and we'll let it set for a while. Hey, my tray. Like I said, just shake off the excess and then put it on your tray. Now, if you happen to leave it in the citrus strip, that's not a big deal either. But then again, your citrus strip is going to get all full of residue and paint and like that. Now, here's the car that I did for the family before. Dean absolutely loved his El Camino, and this was the closest one we could find to what he had. So I painted it up, and this is what the paint scheme is going to look like for the 66 Nova. Here is the card we're going to print out. This is the exact same layout that I used for the last car that I made. When I print this out of my Canon printer, I make sure that I print it at high resolution. It puts down a little bit more ink, and it makes the card, or the colors on the card, look a little bit nicer. Dean loved his El Camino, he loved his family, and he loved his job. He worked on the carnival circuit, and he worked with the rides, etc. From what the family tells me, he loved what he did. And the shirt that he's wearing there, the blue and the green, those are going to match the colors of the car that we're going to do. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing these memorial builds. And that sounds a little bit strange, but I love giving the family a little bit of happiness. Now we're going to take some artwork off that card, and we're going to make up the introduction card, or the intro to this video. So here again, I'm still in CorelDRAW. We're going to lay out the lettering. Now, initially, I forgot the gentleman's last name because it had been a while since I'd done the El Camino for them before. So just temporarily, I put in the name Smith. His name is actually Tindall, which I went in and changed later. But I just wanted to get a layout of some kind out there so I could go back in later and change it. We need to make this a little bit bigger to stretch over the card itself, or the intro card. That'll be okay for now. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell to be alerted to any future videos that come out. So we're going to take the picture of Dean, and we're going to bring that over to the card. I'll make another video here in the future about doing layouts like this, and also how to do a card for your cars. This is going to look nice. Now I'll bring the lettering to the front, so the picture of Dean is more in the background. There we go. That's going to look good right there. Now we need to work on the picture of the car for the intro card. And this is going to be really cool. Here we're going to work on the car, like I said. Now, I use CorelDRAW for my artwork, but there's another program that I use called InPixio. Now, I like using the photo cutter. This is really cool. You can bring a picture over and just draw a circle around the background like this, and it will completely eliminate the background. Now it's all transparent. We're going to go ahead and trim it up. And again, now that eliminates some of the colors of the car like that, but now we're going to go in with the green pen, and we're going to draw it over the areas that we actually want to keep. This is a really good program, and it's not that expensive. It's called InPixio. There, that looks good. Now let's go ahead and let's crop the image and get rid of all the unnecessary background. There we go. Let's trim that down. Nice. Now we're going to save it. Now the file will save next to where you got the picture from. So whatever file the car picture was in, which was in the Diano file, then it will save it to that same file, except after the picture, it'll say InPixio. So now you know which one to bring over. There we go. That's looking good. All we got to do now is resize it. That's looking nice. Let's go ahead and save the layout, and then we'll export it out. Like I said, I really enjoy doing these memorial cars, and I've done several for a lot of people. Now we just have to export it out and save it to the Diano file. By this time I did get the name, so I changed the name from Smith to Tindall. Now we're just sizing it up so we can get it exported. The program that I use to do my artwork in, or my videos in, is called Wondershare Filmora. Now when you go to put pictures into the Filmora program, they can't be bigger than 2 megabytes. Is that right? I think it's 2 megabytes. Anyways, they can only be a certain size for you to bring them into the program. Now we're going to do a wheel swap. Here I'm putting in these reel riders. I have trimmed down the axles, and those look a lot better than those plastic wheels. So these will look really sweet. We'll snap those in place, and then we'll get it up on the vise like this, tape it in place, and we'll use this gel super glue, and we'll put a couple of drops over the axle. And we'll do the same thing to the front wheels. Now here again, you want to be safe. You don't want to use the liquid type or the very thin type, because the super glue with the thin type, it will travel down the axle and onto the wheel rim, and it will freeze up your wheels on your axle. It uses capillary action to track down the axle to go into your wheel. This is why I use the gel type of super glue to do this, and that is today's tip from your Uncle Paulie. We'll go ahead and let that sit for a while. Now I took the body of the car once, I scrubbed it down with degreaser, and I used this Tamiya Fine Surface Primer. This primer is excellent, folks. I recommend it highly. It is a little bit expensive though, so you got to be very gingerly use it because it'll go away quick. It's expensive. Here we've painted the bottom half of the car a pearl lime green with Createx pearl lime green. Once you mix it up properly, this paint is fantastic. And the best part about it is that it only takes a short time to dry. Now I'll put a light coat on, and then I'll go back and forth just with the airbrush in the air, and I'll dry it. And then I'll put some more paint down, and then I'll dry it. And you can do that. Now you can't do that with the Spectraflame paints are like that, because it'll smear all over the place until it dries properly. So the Createx paint, this is one of the things that it's good for. Now I did use the balancing clear with this paint, and again, I've got a video coming up soon that talks about mixing the paints and how you use them, etc. We'll let that dry for a while. That looks good. Yeah, that definitely looks good. You got some really good coverage there, and the metal flake or the pearlescent sheen that this paint has is really nice, especially if you mix it up properly. So here's how it looks. We got that white base, like I said. Now we're going to tape it all up, and we're going to get it ready to spray on the blue. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put on some very thin pinstripe around the center of the car for a white stripe that goes entirely around the car. Now this is the thinnest tape that I have, so we'll just use this here and it'll look good. Take your time, put it down, press it down with your finger or your thumb, and make sure your hands are clean and washed. Now we'll tape off the bottom of the car, and I sped this up because I knew it would get long doing this. Trim it properly so you know what's being painted and what's not. Make sure you cover up everything that you don't want paint on, because 9 times out of 10, if you miss a little tiny spot, It's going to travel and it's going to cover it. And trust me, these are the words of experience here, okay? Secure everything so it doesn't come off. Nice. Now here we're going to mix up this pearlized blue. I shook it real good. It's got a little marble or something there, so shake it up really good. And put an amount in there that you're going to be comfortable with using, and make sure you have a little extra. Here's the 40-30 balancing clear. Now you can use anywhere from 15 to 20 to 30%. It's up to you. And what this does for the paint is it gives it an automotive hardness when it comes to putting your paint on. And it's going to allow it to dry and be able to tape over if you want to. I've got this hand mixer from Badger, and you can find these in my Amazon store. I can't begin to tell you enough how important it is to mix up the paint properly. Yeah, some people mix it up with a toothpick or a coffee stirrer or whatever. I found that this works so much better. And I recommend that you get yourself one of these small ones, and they work fantastic. Now we're going to let that set for approximately 10 minutes to let the emulsions in the paint mix and lock in with each other properly. Here we sped up the tape of me painting. Now I'm using an airbrush called the Pro Hobby. Yeah, the Pro Hobby brush. Sorry, I had a mind blank there. And I got this from spraygunner.com. Now this brush here I actually did a review on, and I love the airbrush so much that I bought the airbrush. Now I've got another review coming out here very soon on another of the Pro Hobby line, and that's a fantastic brush too, and I bought that one too. So take it for what it's worth. Now that it's dry, we're going to go ahead and peel that tape off. Now on the very front of the fender there in the passenger side, there's a little bit of leach underneath the tape, or where it fogged under the tape. We went ahead and taped that off again, and we fixed it. So that turned out good also. But the tape was just not down perfectly. So you got to be careful. Forgot this little white pinstripe here. There you go. Nice and clean. That looks sweet. Let's go ahead and move on. We printed up the card like I said. Here's the paper. So I'm going to flip that over. The measurements are approximately 4.25 by 6.5 inches. So now I've got this card, and I sprayed it down with this Elmer's spray adhesive that I got out of the craft department at Walmart. I sprayed the back of the card. Now the card is larger than the image on the paper, so we can trim it up later. I used to use a glue stick, and then I had so many things where they would separate from the card. So I started using the spray adhesive, and it works that much better. I then use this big roll of tape, and I roll it over the back of the card to smooth it out. Now I'm going to take a ruler with a straight edge here, and I flip it over because I want it to lay flat onto the card itself. Take a nice sharp razor blade and go ahead and trim it right to the edge. Make sure you trim all 4 edges. And again, make sure the blade is sharp. If your blade is slightly dull, it's liable to rip your paper, and then you're going to be saying some curse words. All right? That is the voice of experience talking again. One more here. Here we go. I think. Now we got a little bit of white on the edge there. Let's go ahead and trim that up. Make it all nice and clean. If y'all got any questions about any of the things we're doing here, just leave a comment in the comment section here, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Alright, well that looks good. Now we need to round the corners. I got this corner cutter I found on Amazon. You can also find this corner cutter now in my Amazon store. The link to the store is in the comments section of this video. Go ahead and seat it all the way in. I used the 10mm round. That looks good. And it's got to be all the way seated in there. And you'll push it and it will snap. It deposits all the little shavings underneath the cutter. That looks really nice. I'm very happy with that. It's sad when you lose a family member. Here's another one I did for a gentleman by the name of John Warner. This one turned out fantastic, and I was very happy to do it for the family. Here we've got all the parts. We got the body all nice and clear coated with the pearl blue and the pearl lime green. We detailed out the taillights. That looks fantastic. That clear coat turned out beautiful. Here's the base with these beautiful Real Rider tires. We detailed out the front and the grille. That looks good. Interior looks good. And we went ahead and we dipped the windshield in gauzy. So that turned out good. Little piece of dust there. And this is what we started with. We started out with this 66 Nova. Definitely we did this car justice because it didn't look like, doesn't look like this afterwards. But I was very happy to do this car for the family. And here's our tribute to Diano. Look at the beautiful colors. Now these colors match his shirt, and man, I was so happy to do this car. The pearl blue and the pearl lime green with that white stripe running down the center of the car. The details on the lights and the grille, the details on the tail lights, they turned out fantastic. And the Real Rider tires just set this car off. This was a wonderful build and a great tribute, and I really do enjoy doing these memorial cars. Sometimes it's hard to find the words when you're doing a memorial car for someone, and you want to give the family comfort, and hopefully when they look at this either on their mantelpiece or in their curio cabinet or whatever, they remember all the happy memories that their family members provided to them, and that they are loved and that they are missed. To top it all off, we put it in a card, or on a card, and in a protector. What a wonderful picture of a wonderful man. And the beautiful colors of the car, they turned out fantastic. Man, that looks good. It's sitting in another protector inside the protector there. I don't have the ones that stick to the card, but this turned out fantastic. I was very happy with it. In memory of Dean Tindall. Dean resided in Indiana, and it was his home and his family's home. He loved his job, he loved his family, and he leaves an everlasting impression to the community. It's hard to say goodbye to a outstanding man, but this tribute to the family and to Dean, and I want to say thank you for the opportunity of being able to build this car. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for watching Diecast Graveyard. Cheers.